Hey everybody, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. And today's topic is kombucha good or does it have too much sugar? And this is definitely one of the most popular questions I get. Still, even though the kombucha kind of excitement and craze started, I think almost 10 years ago now. I remember brewing my first batch in 2013. And so, it's an ongoing conversation. I'm really excited to be able to clarify this for you today. And I'm Ashley Oswald, registered dietitian and founder of Oswald Digestive Clinic, where we help people improve and eliminate bothersome gut issues like gas, bloat, diarrhea, and or constipation. So you can work with us one of two ways. You can schedule a free 30-minute gut health call below to work with us one-on-one. And we are now accepting insurance, so that's very exciting. And then the second way is you can join our Heal Your Gut course, which the link is also below. So without further ado, let's dive right in and talk about kombucha. So as you probably guessed, the answer to this question is not black and white. So I want to just explain the intricacies of it so that you can have the knowledge and be able to make the best decision for you. So let's rewind a little bit. I just want to explain what kombucha is for those individuals who don't know. It's basically fermented tea. So it is made by using this culture called a SCOBY, and I'll put a picture up here. This SCOBY, that just stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. You basically put that into sugared tea. So you dissolve some sugar and water, and usually black tea or green tea is used, and then the SCOBY is put into a jar with that, and it's left to ferment for usually 1 to 4 weeks, and at the end you have this this kombucha product. It's not carbonated at this point, so let me explain how the carbonation happens. But basically you have this flat fermented tea at this point, which some people prefer it that way. And then if you want the carbonation, you just pour it into jars and you let it ferment a second stage in the jar. Usually some extra sugar is added, so maybe that's some whole real juice or some berries are added, and then the yeast and the bacteria eat that and ferment it and can create some carbonation while it's in the jar. And so this, in some states and some restaurants, it's gotten quite popular, and it is now being sold on tap, and I'm sure you've seen or heard about it at some point. Some grocery stores have a whole wall of a variety of kombuchas. All right, but does it have too much sugar? A lot of people will then read the label and see there is like 6 grams of sugar typically per serving, and each jar is 16 ounces, so it would have about 12 grams of sugar. So as far as whether this is good, it certainly could be helpful because it could have these beneficial bacteria and yeast. But hold on and listen to the full video because I'm going to explain some situations where it could actually be more harmful. Now, to get trillions of these bacteria and yeast, you just need 1 tablespoon, which is just about the tip of your thumb. So you really don't need much. And so when we break down the amount of sugar in kombucha, in a full jar, there is about 12 grams. The World Health Organization recommends consuming less than 25 grams per day. So in other foods, that looks something like half of a 12-ounce Coke, or 1 cup of a juice, or like a 3-inch donut, or 1 serving of a ice cream, for example. So as you can see, it's pretty, with the standard American eating, it can be pretty easy to exceed that recommendation of staying under 25 grams. And I think it's always important to compare things to other foods just to give perspective, right? And so when we're talking about kombucha, when you drink the whole jar, it is giving 12 grams of sugar, which is about half of that recommendation. However, as I mentioned, you don't need the full jar to get the potential benefits. So when we just look at 1 tablespoon, that is 0.375 grams of sugar. So 0.375 compared to the 25 grams in a day, that's a very little amount, right? So when you go up to half a cup, you're just getting about 3 grams of sugar. So 3 grams out of the 25 per day is really not that significant of an amount. And you can even add some carbonated water to that half cup of kombucha to make a larger portion of it. And some people prefer that way because kombucha can be pretty sugary, so you can get the benefits while having this enjoyable kind of carbonated beverage. So now let's talk about some situations where you might want to just put some caution up and decide whether this might not be as helpful for you. So the number one would be blood sugars. If you're really struggling with insulin resistance and diabetes, really watch the amount of kombucha as just mentioned, but then B, know that it is going to be a more quickly absorbed form of sugar, so you'll want to consider having it with a protein or do the kombucha that has chia seeds in it, because you're going to be getting some protein in those chia seeds and some fiber, and that's all going to help buffer that the response to your blood sugars from the sugar in the kombucha. So A, quantity, and then B, choosing the chia seed kombucha, which Synergy brand makes, more often than not if you do struggle with blood sugar issues. And then the next piece is if you have histamine intolerance. So if your skin is really itchy, kind of more of those allergenic type symptoms from high histamine exposure, and sometimes people will get this seasonal, right? You're getting too many kind of environmental allergens, and it could be helpful to then look at the histamine amounts in foods to kind of help damper that body's response, to decrease kind of the amount of histamines that somebody is being exposed to. And certainly there's enzymes in the gut that help to break down histamines. And as far as food goes, the higher histamine foods are the more fermented foods. You can think of it as foods that maybe have been sitting around the longest. So fermentation, it's that long process. Bone broth, it's cooked for a long time. It has a lot more histamines at the end. And then even leftovers sitting in your fridge are going to be higher histamine foods that could contribute to the most common symptom is itching. So if this is the case for you, you might notice after drinking kombucha, you get really itchy. That's a sign of histamine intolerance, and then this would not be a good fit for you, and you might want to connect with our clinic or a different functional nutrition dietitian to see what might be at the roots of your histamine issues. And there's a lot of kind of tools in the functional nutrition toolbox that can really help with that for folks. And then the next thing would be if you are struggling with candida or mold issues, kombucha can trigger and make those symptoms worse. So again, go back to that intuitive eating and really tune into how you're feeling after you're drinking the kombucha. And sometimes it's, again, the amount, and you just need 1 tablespoon. So if you're just doing a couple tablespoons a day, you might be totally fine. But once you start getting up to half a cup, 1 cup plus, and you might start noticing more negative symptoms from it. So if you're one of those people that kombucha is just not a great fit, and even if kombucha is totally fine for you, I would still really encourage opting more for fermented vegetables than kombucha and some of these other fermented foods. And that's because fermented vegetables, you also get those prebiotics. So often you're getting the food for the probiotics. Kombucha with chia seeds. Chia seeds do have prebiotics too. So you can just have kind of a double whammy, and then certainly some fibers in the fermented veggies as well. And then it is kind of naturally a lower sugar food at the end of the day. So opt for a variety of fermented foods. Kombucha can be a fine addition to most people's eating styles. Just watch the quantity, and then opting for like fermented cabbage, which real sauerkraut, or fermented pickles like Bubby's brand pickles, or beet kvass, and there's a whole variety out there on the market now. So to summarize, for most people, kombucha at about half a cup a day is going to be completely fine and probably beneficial. Just watch the quantities, and then if you had mold or candida or histamine or blood sugar issues, use the tips that we chatted about today. So I want to thank you so much for watching. We release a new video every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Time, so subscribe and then hit the button next to the subscribe button so you get notified of our new videos every week. So thank you all. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.